All right, let's dive into Ikigai. You guys sent in some super interesting stuff about this Japanese concept. It's like a compass, you know,
Mm.
but for a life that feels like it's really worth living.
Yeah, it's more like a framework, really, for making choices that align with your passions and skills and your values too.
Yeah.
It's about finding joy in the everyday things, not just chasing some big, huge, lofty ideal.
Right, right. We have stories of like an 80-year-old toy maker in Japan,
Oh,
a
wow.
blind doctor who's finding happiness in roller skating.
Oh,
And
wow.
and get this, a couple who's been on their honeymoon for like 8 years.
Wow, 8 years. That's
Yes,
amazing.
8 years and counting.
Each one of those stories, gives us a different perspective on how Ikigai can be so different for everybody. It really is a journey that's different for each person.
Okay, so to start us off, Tim Tamashiro, he wrote How to Ikigai. He talks about his friend Dave Thorsell, whose Ikigai is simply to please people.
That's great. And the fascinating thing is how easily that comes to him. He doesn't have to work at it. It's just who he is.
Yeah, like breathing. And this kind of reminds us that Ikigai isn't always about, you know, achieving something huge, you know.
Right.
It can be about bringing joy to others.
Absolutely. Those little things we do every day can really have a big impact.
So before we go any further,
Yeah.
let's just get the pronunciation down. Ikigai. It's Ikigai.
Iki.
Tamashiro even suggests like saying it with a smile, which I think just kind of gives you a sense of the positive energy of the whole concept.
Yeah, the pronunciation itself even sounds joyful and uplifting.
Right. So speaking of joy, uh, get ready to be amazed by the Ama, the female freedivers of Okinawa.
These women are like a living example of Ikigai. For generations, they've been diving deep into the ocean, holding their breath for an incredible amount of time to collect shellfish.
It's just incredible the way they navigate the water, you know,
Yeah.
and their sense of community is just as remarkable.
Yeah.
Imagine like generations of women, you know, every day they're diving, supporting each other, sharing their stories.
They show us how the different parts of Ikigai can really come together, doing what you love, being good at it, and providing for your community. It's a way of life that has lasted for centuries.
Yeah. So from the ocean depths, let's head to the workshop of Masaki Hiroi. He's a toy maker. He's 80 years old, and he makes these really cool spinning tops.
Wow.
Tamashiro describes his workshop. You know, there's wood shavings everywhere, paint brushes, colorful materials all over the place. You can just tell that Masaki gets so much joy from creating.
Yeah, his story really captures the idea of flow, being totally absorbed in what you're doing and loving it. He's been dedicated to his craft for like 50 years.
50 years.
That really shows you the kind of fulfillment that Ikigai can bring, long-lasting fulfillment.
Okay, so to really break down Ikigai, we got to look at Mark Wynn's Venn diagram.
Mhm.
You know, it's got those 4 overlapping circles. They represent what you love,
Yeah.
what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for.
Right.
It's a cool way to visualize all those different elements.
Absolutely.
But, and this is something to think about, does focusing solely on what you can be rewarded for go against what Ikigai is really all about? I mean, that's something to keep in mind as we go deeper into all this.
Yeah, that's a good point. While the diagram helps us to understand the basics, it's important to remember that finding your own Ikigai is a personal journey. Those 4 areas might not always perfectly overlap, And that's okay. The real value is in the journey itself.
And sometimes that journey has some unexpected turns. Tamashiro talks about deciding to go to music school, even though it wasn't, you know, a typical career choice.
Yeah.
He's really honest about the struggles he faced early on.
Oh, yeah.
You know, playing gigs, working at a record store, and finally, you know, getting his dream job at a record label.
Wow.
It shows that, you know, sometimes you just got to go for it and see where your passion leads you.
Right. His story is a great example of how important it is to chase your dreams, even if they're not the conventional ones. You find fulfillment when you follow your interests and let those opportunities come to you.
So let's shift gears a little and talk about Don Clifton and his groundbreaking research on figuring out people's strengths. His work is all about encouraging people to, you know, focus on what they do well instead of, you know, dwelling on their weaknesses.
Yeah.
That's a powerful idea when it comes to Ikigai.
Definitely. Clifton's research really lines up with that whole Ikigai principle of doing what you're good at. When you know what your strengths are, you can make better choices and use those abilities to achieve more and feel more satisfied.
So speaking of challenging the norm, there's this story of John Kitchens. He's this successful doctor, but after he lost his sight, he decided to become Slow-mo.
Slow.
Yeah, he's a roller skating enthusiast.
Wow, okay.
His story really stood out to me.
I bet. It reminds us that we can decide what success means for ourselves, you know? He chose joy and fulfillment over what society might expect, and it encourages us to think about what truly makes us happy. What do you think about that? Does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a powerful reminder that fulfillment can come from unexpected places.
Right.
And it kind of leads into this thought-provoking concept. You are not your job. You are your work. It's about recognizing the difference between, having a job just to make ends meet and having work that gives you a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Like you actually enjoy what you're doing.
That's such an important distinction. And, even in a regular job, we can find ways to make it more meaningful. We can, like, adapt our roles to include more of what we're passionate about and what we're good at.
Right. So on that note, let's talk about Mike and Ann Howard, the honey trekkers.
Honey truckers, I like that.
Instead of traditional careers, they decided to travel the world.
Wow.
They've been doing it for 8 years. They put experiences above material things.
Yeah, their story really exemplifies the whole idea of time affluence, valuing your time and your freedom more than just making money. It challenges that typical idea of success, and it makes us think about different ways to live a fulfilling life.
It's really inspiring.
Yeah.
Their story, it shows us how prioritizing those experiences can lead to a really rich and fulfilling life.
Okay, are you ready for a thought-provoking concept? Delusions.
Delusions.
Not in the, medical sense, but as a set of personal beliefs that drive your actions, even if those beliefs are a little bit against the norm.
Oh, interesting. So it's about being aware of your choices and taking ownership of them, even if they seem unconventional. It suggests that maybe, going against the grain and living by your own values can actually lead to a more authentic and meaningful life.
Right. And sometimes we need a little push to realize that we're not living authentically. Tamashiro talks about his father who, worked a job he didn't like just for the security. But later on, he actually regretted not seeing more of the world. Yeah. That's a poignant reminder, isn't it? That sometimes those societal expectations can lead us away from what we truly care about. It shows how crucial it is to make choices that align with what we value, to find fulfillment on our own terms instead of just following what's expected of us. This story just really highlights the importance of living authentically, don't you think?
It really does. It's a good reminder to prioritize what really matters to us.
Mm. And speaking of unexpected journeys, Tamashiro's own path to discovering Ikigai started in a pretty surprising place. A reality TV show about furniture design.
Really?
Yeah.
You never know where you'll find inspiration, right? It just goes to show that Ikigai can pop up in the most unexpected places. And being open to new experiences can help us find our own unique path.
It's like he could probably watching, expecting to be bored, and then all of a sudden he stumbles upon this concept of Ikigai. It just goes to show those unexpected moments of inspiration, those can really change things. Absolutely. Sometimes the most profound insights come from the least likely sources. And through his explorations, Tamashiro discovered his own why. His core motivation is to bring joy to others, which makes perfect sense given his enthusiasm and passion for sharing knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. It's really inspiring how his personal journey encourages us to, to look inside ourselves and figure out our own motivations, our own why. So, what are your thoughts so far? What's resonating with you as we explore this whole idea of Ikigai?
It's a really good question. Are there any stories or ideas that have you thinking differently about your own path?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So much to unpack here, isn't there?
There really is.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so interesting.
Absolutely. It's really been amazing hearing your first reactions. Now, let's switch gears and talk about a true legend, Miles Davis, the jazz musician.
Oh, yeah?
He was more than just a great musician, though. He was constantly pushing the boundaries of music, always innovating.
Yeah, he really embodies that idea that Ikigai isn't like a finish line. It's more like a lifelong journey of growth and mastery.
Yeah.
His commitment to always being creative, shows us that our own Ikigai can change and grow with us.
Exactly. And his dedication to, always improving his craft is a valuable lesson for us all.
All right, so from the world of legendary jazz, let's move on to the world of happiness.
Ooh.
I'm really excited about this next part. Tamashiro talks about Dr. Lori Santos.
Oh, yeah.
And her super popular Yale course, The Science of Well-Being.
I've heard about that.
It's really fascinating. She challenges a lot of our ideas about about what actually makes us happy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have these preconceived notions that, material things and achievements are the key to happiness.
Right. It's not about the big house or the fancy car. She outlines 8 specific actions that are scientifically proven to make us feel better.
What are those?
Acts of kindness, exercise, social connections, meditation, time affluence. Remember that from the Honey Truckers?
Uh-huh.
Quality sleep, gratitude, and goal setting.
That's quite a list, but they all sound pretty achievable, which is great.
Yeah, it's a really practical guide to being happier. And it's amazing because, you know, anyone can do these things no matter what their situation is.
I agree.
And one of those things, one of those actions is meditation. Tamashiro shares his experience with meditation, particularly with the Headspace app.
Yeah, mindfulness and meditation are such powerful tools for becoming more self-aware and for growing as a person, which are, key parts of finding and living your Ikigai.
Yeah, he describes it as like this feeling of mental clarity, and he started to see the world in a new way, like with more appreciation. Almost
Hmm.
like hitting the refresh button on your mind.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried meditation? What was it like for you?
I find it incredibly helpful for finding that inner peace and just being present in the moment. It really helps to quiet all those thoughts that are always running through our heads and just connect with a deeper sense of calm.
So now for a new take on a classic concept, the Ikigap year. It's kind of like that traditional gap year, but the focus is on self-discovery and exploration.
So it's like taking a break from your routine and really diving into your passions and interests.
Exactly. It's a chance to gain some clarity, to figure out where you want to go in life.
That's a great idea.
Kamishiro actually took an Ikigap year himself. He left his job at CBC Radio, a secure job, to go on new adventures and have new experiences.
Wow, that's really putting his money where his mouth is.
Right.
It shows how important it is to take that leap of faith and put yourself first, even if it means stepping outside of your comfort zone. It takes courage, to embrace the unknown.
So to really tie everything together, Tamashiro tells this fictional story about a dragon slayer named Kyoko. She achieves her lifelong goal of, slaying a dragon, but instead of feeling fulfilled, she feels empty and lost. It's not until she goes on a new quest to help others that she finds her purpose again.
That's a really powerful story. It highlights how important it is to make sure our actions line up with our values and to realize that our ikigai can change as we do. Kyoko's journey really emphasizes that, we often find true fulfillment in contributing to something bigger than ourselves, in making a difference in the world. How can we make sure our actions are aligned with our values and that we're contributing to a greater purpose? That's something to think about.
It is. It's a powerful reminder to always be checking in with ourselves, and making sure we're striving to make a real impact. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Personal stories, scientific research, ancient philosophies, modern interpretations. What a journey into the world of Ikigai. What stood out to you the most during this deep dive?
It's been such an enriching exploration as we start to wrap up. What are you taking away from all this? Has anything made you want to change things in your own life?
It's been so great hearing your thoughts and everything you've shared throughout this whole exploration. Now, as we wrap up our deep dive into Ikigai, I'm really curious to hear any final takeaways you might have.
Oh, it's been a real pleasure, just diving into all the different aspects of Ikigai with you. It's such a complex concept and there's just so much to learn from it.
Yeah, and to kind of help you on your own journey, we thought it might be helpful to like distill everything we talked about into a 10-point summary of like the key takeaways about Ikigai.
Oh, I like that. It's like a roadmap, to guide people as they explore their own Ikigai.
Exactly. So here we go. 10 nuggets of wisdom about Ikigai.
Yeah.
Number 1, Ikigai is your reason for getting out of bed every morning.
It's what makes life feel worthwhile, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Number 2, it's not about, these big achievements or anything like that. It's about finding joy and meaning in those everyday little things.
The small moments.
Yeah, exactly. Number 3, embrace those things you're passionate about, even if they seem, a little unconventional or maybe even a little irrational.
Follow your heart.
Yeah. Number 4, focus on your strengths, what you're good at, and let those guide the choices that you make.
Play to your strength.
Yeah. Number 5, remember, you are not your job. You are your work. Find purpose and fulfillment in what you do.
That's a good one.
Number 6, time affluence. Valuing time and freedom. That's a key part of living your Ikigai.
Absolutely.
Number 7, don't be scared to challenge those societal norms and to find success for yourself.
Be your own person.
Right. Number 8, mindfulness and meditation. They can help you get more clarity, reduce stress, and just become more self-aware.
Yeah, those are essential tools for personal growth.
Number 9, consider an Ikigap year. Take some time to really focus on self-discovery and exploration.
A time for reflection and new experiences.
And finally, number 10, living your Ikigai. It's a journey. It's not a destination. Embrace growth, you know. Keep exploring and allow your purpose to evolve over time.
I love that. Those 10 points really sum up the essence of Ikigai perfectly.
We really hope this deep dive has inspired you,
Mhm.
and given you some valuable insight as you start your own Ikigai journey. And don't forget, all the resources and links we talked about, those will be in the show notes so you can explore even more.
And one last thought to leave you with. If you could set aside just 30 minutes every day to do something you truly love, what would it be? And how could that small step help you discover and live your own Ikigai?
That's a really powerful question to think about. It's all about taking those little steps, those intentional steps toward a life that feels more fulfilling. So keep searching, keep exploring, and keep living a life that feels truly worthwhile. Until next time.